Hello everybody, Hawk here. Check out what Antelope Audio graciously sent me for review. They loaned me a couple of their new Edge microphones, which I do have to return after I'm done reviewing, just so you know. They sent me the Edge Solo and the Edge Duo. The Edge Solo is a straight-ahead, large diaphragm condenser microphone, and the Edge Duo is a large diaphragm, single capsule, but dual membrane condenser microphone. Both of these microphones are designed to be paired with Antelope Audio's mic modeling software. You'll get your mic modeling software when you purchase the microphones. And in that mic modeling software, you get all kinds of crazy classic vintage mics, from basic Shure microphones to really expensive vintage Neumann and AKG and Sony mics. So a fantastic selection of mic models for you to choose from based on the audio that you record from these microphones. What I like about both of these microphones is that you can use them with your own audio interface. That could be a Focusrite audio interface, an Avid audio interface, a universal audio interface, whatever you're used to using. You're not obligated to use Antelope Audio's audio interfaces. Rather, you can just plug into your audio interface and record the signal. And then after you've recorded the signal, you can process the signal through the mic modeling software. The difference between the two mics is that this straight ahead condenser mic just gives you the basic cardioid pickup pattern, whereas the dual membrane duo microphone gives you the ability to change the pickup patterns after the fact. So each of the membranes is hardwired to its own individual output. So you actually record this microphone on two tracks, stereo tracks, kind of, it's referred to as stereosonic. But we'll take a listen to that in just a minute. What's great about that is with the two tracks, the software gives you this ability to choose your pickup pattern. You could choose a basic cardioid pickup pattern, hypercardioid, figure 8, omnidirectional. And again, that's all after you've done the recording. So we'll take a listen to that in a minute. There are a lot of fantastic videos documenting these vintage microphones, and as we all know these days, the software emulations are amazing. So I'm not going to try and compare the mic modeling software to the original mics. Besides, it's not like I have a classic, let's say an AKG C12 just sitting in my closet. Most of us Project Studio owners don't have that. So rather than trying to compare it to the original mics, what I want to do is actually compare the mics to each other. So basically a solo versus a duo shootout here to see which one has the better features bang for the buck wise. The prices are pretty significantly different. This is $695 retail and this is $1,095 retail. So, you know, which one is the better bang for the buck for your project studio? Do you need the extra pickup patterns and the stereosonic sound? Is that something you want to spend the extra money on? Or is the straight ahead large diaphragm condenser microphone with the solo going to do the job for you in your studio? So let's go ahead and take a listen to that. Let's run some sound tests. And but first, let's open up the boxes and see what's inside the boxes. So here we go. Nice little case here for each of them. So there's the Edge Solo. Nice small compact microphone with the size of the diaphragm in there. You can see that standard XLR input and a nice holder for it. Goes right on the mic stand there. So that's the Edge Solo, and the Edge Duo here, much bigger case, much bigger microphone. I love the color of this windscreen here. And see here, if you can, there it is. Looks like at about the same size diaphragm there. And here is, so look at that. It's not a standard XLR input there because this is a stereo microphone. I guess we're going to need a special cable for this. So really nice pop filter that comes with the mic, and also a very big, can't get that out, really big holder. Look at this. Looks like this whole thing comes out here. Look at that. So there is our a very nice mic holder, isolation with nice elastic bands there to prevent the microphone from banging around. And here's that cable hidden underneath here, secret compartment. And there's the left and right standard XLRs to a multi-pin XLR input from the microphone there. And that's the cable. All right, so looking forward to taking a listen to these. Let's go ahead and plug them in and see how they sound. Okay, let's hear what these microphones sound like when I'm recording them. In order to have somewhat scientific results, I'm going to set the microphones up in the piano side by side so that I can record the same signal at the same time. But I'm going to turn the Edge Duo sideways a little bit so that I can get the dual membrane action here and see what that sounds like. And then for the vocal recording, I am going to put the two mics head to head like this so that, again, I can sing directly into the microphones and capture the same signal. And then I'll be able to take that recorded signal of the same signal and process the signal with the microphone modeling software to see what the results are. So let's take a listen to these and start doing some recording. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, Well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out. It's one thing to listen to these microphones on their own with the mic modeling software, but how does the mic modeling software and the microphones, how do they sound in the mix? Because that's a completely different thing when you're actually putting them in the mix. How do they work in the mix? So I went ahead and took my silly little microphone Antelope modeling song that I based on Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight's melody, and I mixed them up with the duo here, recording the piano, and I used the Tokyo 800T for this one on the piano, and then for the solo on the vocals with the Berlin 67. So added some EQ, some compression, some reverb, and let's listen to what we've got. Well, if you told me we were recording on a mic that does emulations, well, I don't know how. I guess it's possible now. The software engineers have figured this out, and we can hear it recorded on this mic right now. Right now, and we can hear it recorded on this mic all night, all night, all night. So there you go. What did you guys think? We took a listen to the solo and we took a listen to the duo. We took a listen to each of them individually with the different mic models and then the different pickup patterns. And then we also took a listen to them in the mix to see how they sounded. My conclusion is that I'm pretty impressed. I'm definitely impressed by the mic models, and the mics themselves actually sound really solid on their own. In fact, this sort of stereosonic sound field that's generated by the duo on its own without the mic modeling software is really interesting. And I would say the biggest thing that threw me when I was working with these microphones was that I thought that the duo's mic emulations were more dramatic than the solo's mic emulations, but then I realized that it just mostly had to do with the output of the microphone. This microphone, the dual with the dual membrane, is a good 5 dB hotter, approximately, than the solo. And when I compensated for that, and I did that when we were doing the listening test, the listening playback, the mic models sounded pretty much the same. I mean, the mics themselves have a different quality to them. The duo is more sensitive, has a hotter pickup. But when I compensated for that 5 dB difference, the solo stood up really well too. I mean, the mic model sounded great. So then it comes down to, in terms of the price, the difference between $695 retail and $1,095, $1,095 retail, is whether you need the sort of stereosonic sound and the ability to do those different pickup patterns. If that's something that's really important to you, then maybe you need to step up to the duo. But if you're just a home project studio and you like, this crazy virtual vintage mic locker, and you're just going to be recording vocals mainly and maybe some straight ahead guitar or something, the solo is a killer deal for that. So that's my thoughts on these two microphones. Overall, I'm very impressed, and if I had to pick one of these, well, I mean, obviously this one has more features, but this is a really great deal. The solos are a really great deal. So there you guys go. Let me know what you think, what you thought of the sound of the microphones, which one you think is a better deal. Leave some comments below the video. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And if you're feeling so inspired, pick up a music producer t-shirt or a mug behind, the other side, mug behind me. Okay, see you guys soon.